morning, beautiful people. What is it? Thursday? It's not even the middle of the week. It's Thursday, September 5th. Happy birthday, Bet Allen. Now I know she is not up. She's in Seattle under the covers, sound asleep. But I thought I'd shout her out. Happy birthday, Bet Allen. I already left her a message this morning, a singing message. So when she checks this message, she's gonna be like, that bitch. Oh, I wrenched my back this morning. I don't know how I did it. I just reached over to pick up something just at like waist length. And I could feel the spasm in my back. Now, yesterday we were working on weights. I lift weights. So it might be from that. But it feels like a little spasm, like it's tight. Oh, so I might have to take something for it in a little bit. I took a little turmeric just now, so we'll see what happens. Whew. I don't like back problems. I don't know anybody who does like back problems, so I don't say that to say there are people out there who enjoy back problems. I just, oh, I feel it. Enru is on at 10:15, which will be nice. Maybe some of that prayer and Orisha ancestor. Let me call on the ancestors. Maybe they could give me a hand. Because gosh, I feel this. Ooh, having a little protein this morning because I need to eat something. Oh my gosh, that is a back. So, I went to bed last night thinking about, I went to bed early last night. 2 nights in a row, I'm in the bed like 9:15. Last night I was in the bed at 10. I'm gonna try to keep this up, see where it takes me. Except tomorrow night I'll be at a gala, so I won't be going to bed at 10 tomorrow, but tonight I could get to bed at 10. And like I go to bed, like I don't turn the TV on. Like there's no TV watching. So, I went to bed last night thinking about two things. The Georgia shooting and how we can't seem to figure out how to get guns out of the hands of people who do not need guns or deserve guns or should have guns. And yet, there's a lot of conversation and swift movement on regulating cell phones and kids in school. And it just seems to me odd, that we will have all these drawn out conversations and move swiftly on removing cell phones from kids, but we don't move swiftly or have conversation about how to stop killing kids in school. And, not for nothing, those kids that had their cell phones and contacted their parents, I thought was quite helpful. See, I'm not one of these people who's like, let's take cell phones out of kids' hands in school. Because to me, it's one and the same. You cannot, until you can take guns out of schools, why would you take cell phones out of schools? And this kid, whoever did this shooting, was like 14, 15 years old. And they went to his house, and his father's like, yeah, I have guns in the house, but you know, whatever. And then, he was on the watch list, this kid, because he has some issues. He must have been white. Because you can't tell me if these were black kids killing up kids in schools, something would be done. I'm convinced. Look how much time black kids given to have guns and just regular guns in the streets. So you can't tell me you can't do something about guns. And this kid didn't get killed or kill himself. He surrendered. So that tells me something else. he had to make a decision. When we got surrounded by armed forces, he had to make a decision. So I'm just saying, interesting, very interesting. So I'm just I'm just concerned. And uh, this is America. We don't mind killing kids. We don't mind seeing kids killed. I mean, we just don't mind seeing kids killed. As long as, we get to keep our guns. We don't care. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. I'm not being cavalier or any of that. I'm not. We just seem to not mind kids being killed at school. At school. Not on the battlefield. Not in war, in schools. We don't seem to mind it. Because every time kids are killed in school, all these gun people go quiet. Everybody's silent. No weighing in. Thoughts and prayers. But we have these ridiculous conversations about the attention span of kids with cell phones. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I mean, you could say to kids, don't use your cell phones in school, in class. And they have to like tuck them away or whatever. I, why don't you just have a bring your guns to school day? I think that would be a lot easier. Bring your gun to school days. And we just don't mind it in this country. We just don't mind it. And I mean no disrespect to all the families that have lost their children to gun violence in schools. No disrespect. But this country don't give a damn about you or your kids. You got to know that. This country doesn't give a damn about all these kids killed. They don't care. He was known, so Harry posted in the chat, he was known to the FBI for a year. He threatened to shoot up the school a year ago. The FBI interviewed the family and let it go. But I bet you if his ass was Middle Eastern or black or African or Latino, they would have locked his ass up. Must have been white. How much money you want to put on it? He was white. His father is white. Everybody's white. FBI's like, we don't care about kids. This is a kid. He's just a kid. He's not going to do anything. They had a whole year. He gave him a whole year head start. He gave him a whole year. I'm gonna give you all a whole year to stop me. Because that's essentially what he said, right? I'm gonna give you a whole year before y'all can stop me from killing people. And they failed. I mean, they just failed. And then he's like, put himself on the ground. He's like, okay, because I need help. I don't need to be killed. I need help, so lock me away. And they will. Oh, they'll lock him away. We got to try him as an adult. Whatever. He's 14. You really think he's an adult? Mm, I don't get it. I just don't get it. We just don't care about. Listen, We have a gun sickness in America. And until we deal with that gun sickness, firearm sickness, we're gonna keep we're just gonna keep putting candles and teddy bears on school grounds. We don't care. This kid gave them a whole year. Catch me, stop me, help me. Nope. No, because we don't believe you. We don't believe you. I don't care what you say. I don't care how many times you post online. He's gonna go kill up everybody. We just don't believe you. And here we are a year later. Oh, he killed up a bunch of people on a school. What is hard about this? Let me tell you something. If I put out a threat to anybody, anywhere, somebody's gonna come knock on my door and probably arrest me. If I start making threats, somebody's gonna arrest me. I guess. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'll just leave it there. I'll just I'll just leave it there. There's no point in having a bigger conversation about this. What is the point? We're not gonna we're not gonna do anything about guns in this country because we don't mind kids being killed in school. We just don't mind it. Par for the course. Collateral damage. Well, it's just too bad. But we can't give up our guns. And we don't want to limit the access of firearms to anybody. Anybody who wants a gun should have a gun. Anybody. Anybody, regardless of your status of mental health. And we like to throw the mental health stuff around a lot, but we don't really care about that neither. So, domestic violence, you got some domestic violence history. We don't care about that either. You still should have a gun because you never know, you might need it. We don't care. Parents have guns in the house. They're not locked up. They're not anything. Oh, yeah, yeah, I got guns in the house. Okay. So, I, I mean, that's the attitude we are presenting to the world, that we don't care about our children. We don't care. How could we care? When you care about something, it shows if you care about something. It shows. It shows when you care about something. We care about kids getting access to cough syrup. You know how I know we care? Because it's locked the hell up in all the drugstores across the country. It's dangerous. We don't want them to have access because they're doing things with cough syrup and antihistamines that makes it dangerous for them. So we must curtail their use of it, their access to it. So we're gonna lock up medicine that we used to be able to buy over the counter, but because young people or people are abusing what it's used for, we must protect the public. Isn't that the thinking around when you go to all these drugstores and everything's under lock and key, all the medicine? But somehow or other, when it comes to firearms, no, 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 they're not dangerous. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Oh Lord. Okay, then unlock all that stuff in the drugstore. Oh, unlock everything. Just unlock all the medicine, the antihistamine, and I'm talking just basic stuff that I grew up, I could just go buy out the store. It's locked up now. You got to go get somebody with a key to get you. Same with cigarettes. I used to go buy cigarettes for my father. I was like 10, 11 years old. I could go to the store and get cigarettes and beer for my father from the corner store. And no, I was just sending a note. I was just think my father would write a note. This is the kind of beer I want. This is the cigarettes I want, and put money in my hands. And I would go to the store, and they would give it to me. I was a little kid buying cigarettes and beer for my father. Now, can't do it. You can't do it. Why? Public safety. We don't want kids buying alcohol. We don't want kids buying cigarettes. Public safety. We just think it's inappropriate that children should smoke. But we don't think it's inappropriate for kids to have guns. We don't think it's inappropriate for kids to kill other kids or people. What are we doing? The things that we could wrap our brains around, the things that we could put stopgaps on, are the things. And I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not suggesting we should let kids buy cigarettes. I mean, I could buy cigarettes when I was a kid, but it's a different day. We know some stuff now. We know that cigarettes are bad for kids. Cigarettes are bad for humans. We understand that now. So we make it very difficult for people to access cigarettes. You understand what I'm saying? We make it difficult for kids to access cigarettes. So if they get cigarettes, they have to go through extraordinary measures to get cigarettes. But we don't have the same access for guns. Please, stop saying we do. We don't. We do not. Kids know how to get firearms. And some of them are getting them at the house, at their parents' house. We just we are just a country that's full of ish. Just full of ish. And we got a gun lobbying force that puts up a wall. You know? I don't know. It's just very sad to me. It's heartbreaking. Not just sad, it's heartbreaking. Because we don't need to live like this. Like we could absolutely do something about access to firearms in this country and keep them out of the hands of people who should not have them. It's simple. We know how to do it on so many levels with so many other things. Kids can't go in the store and buy alcohol. We know this. We know this. It's a law. No one should have no one should have an assault rifle unless you are in the military, actively in the military. And I'm talking about on somebody's base somewhere. You shouldn't have fire. You shouldn't have automatic weapons. No one should have assault type rifles and assault weapons. I don't want an assault weapon unless it's the end of the world and I'm running from zombies. That's it. I don't know what else to tell you. We just don't mind kids being killed in schools. We just don't mind it. And it proved me wrong. Show me. Because what I'm seeing and experiencing is we don't care about kids. And for me, and I say this all the time, when those babies was killed here in Connecticut, Sandy Hook, and nothing was done legislatively across this country about access to fire or assault and automatic firearms, I knew right then and there we don't care about kids. We just don't care. And until we change that, I'm going to believe that. So if I'm a parent, and I am a parent, but I don't have school age kids anymore, but My kids are going to school with their cell phones, and I dare somebody to say, take it, because I'm gonna have a problem. I said, well, until you can show me that no one's gonna walk up in here and kill my kid and they can't call out, my kid is keeping their phone. See, that's the correlation I'm making. I'm just making the link like that. Did you see all these messages these little kids text their parents from inside the school when the shooting was happening? Parents like, I'm on my way. Get somewhere and hide. I I would be an exhausted parent right now thinking about sending my kids to school. And everywhere this happens, people believe it doesn't happen and would never happen in their town. And just about every state has had this experience, haven't they? I gotta go and track this and see who hasn't had a school shooting in their state. That's the real question. Who hasn't had a school shooting in their state? What state hasn't had a school shooting? That's the question I want to know. Map that on a grid. Map that out for me. Let me see that. What states haven't had school shootings? And what state has the most school shootings? See, these are ridiculous questions that we should not even be trying to answer. But we live in this time and moment where these are askable questions. Okay, what state has had the most school shootings? What state has the least? What state hasn't had any? I just I just find this all ridiculous. If I'm a parent and I'm a parent, if I was a parent of school age children, I would just be, I would just be. Then what do you do with the school now? What do you do with this school now? Do you tear this whole school down now? Because kids had to get out of there. There's blood everywhere. Their classmates and teachers are dead. Do you go back into that school with that trauma? Do you go back to school with that trauma? And how do you deal with the grief? Now you got kids who are going to be sitting in classrooms scared. Every little thing is going to set them on edge. They're never going to be comfortable. They're never going to be able to relax and learn. When will laughter return? Too soon to be talking? Too soon? So the school is closed for the rest of the week. So Monday they go back into a classroom, classes where some of their classmates are not going to be there. Teachers are not going to be there because they were murdered. What? How do you deal with that? Do you start the day every day with some kind of therapeutic session for the whole time that these kids are in this school? Because that's the only way this is going to work. Every day they got to start with whole classroom therapeutic sessions before the day starts. Because I'm sure, as my name is Babz Rawls-Ivy, there's trauma. And these kids are going to internalize that trauma. You're going to see kids who can't sleep, kids who will piss the bed, kids who are fidgety, kids who can't sit still, who don't want to be in confined spaces, who hear things, who are edgy, don't want to leave their parents. Look what we are doing to generation of children, that we're creating this system of trauma for them, and we're letting them walk into it. And then we think, what, they'll be all right? And now you got to add the extra pressure of the kids who survived and how they feel, you know. And then the parents of the kids who were killed, they'll never see their kid again. And if they have siblings, this is going to take so long to get over. And it's never going to get you're never going to get over. There's no get over. So I don't understand why we are willing to allow this to continue. That why are we outraged? Why are we marching in the streets? Why are we demanding change? Why aren't we demanding it? What's the magic number of kids, of people? What's the magic number? And we'll just limit it to schools. We're not even going to limit it to mass shootings like malls or fairgrounds or wherever. Well, churches. Or grocery stores. Well, for the sake of this particular argument, we'll keep it in schools. What's the magic number? How many schools have to have this experience? This is becoming the American experience. How many how many schools, how many schools will it take before we say enough? How many lives of children and teachers and educators have to be lost at school before we say enough? What's the number? I want somebody to give me a number so that we could get to it and get on with it. Because clearly, I mean, it's just an everyday occurrence. We don't seem to be moved by it. Like 15 minutes and be like, oh, that's so sad. And then we move on to the next thing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So now we've got a body of students and teachers, staff, faculty, all these things who have had this experience. Who have had this experience. And this is a modern new phenomenon. This is a modern phenomenon that we are allowing people to walk into schools and kill people. And it doesn't matter if we know a year in advance that this is what somebody is planning. It doesn't seem to matter. Maybe they didn't see. Maybe they don't know Oprah and the Maya Angelou conversation about when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. Did they miss that? They must have missed that Oprah episode. I thought everybody knew that Oprah episode. When Maya says to her, she has this conversation with her. When people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. I don't know how many more signs we need from people. They tell us all the time what their intentions are, what they're going to do. We just don't believe it. We just don't believe it. I don't know why we don't believe it. Maybe because we believe that's not anything we would do. So we project what we believe and how we are in the world on top of somebody who's making the threats. Well, I wouldn't do that. So therefore, I believe they wouldn't do that. And I'm guilty of this too. I do it all the time. Well, I'm not that way, so therefore I can't believe that they're that way. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. It's unconscionable to me. We don't give a damn about kids or human life or anything. But but we'll march all day on those abortion rights. So imagine if we made the correlation between if we said when people walk into schools and kill people, that's abortion too. It's just late stage. I mean no harm. I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm laughing because it's painful. And we are ridiculous right now. We are ridiculous in this country. So why can't we make that so if we're so against abortion, so why aren't we against killing people? It's this for me it's the same. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, if you're crazy, you gotta be thinking, well, it's all if you think it's all murder, then what how is this different? I don't happen to think it's murder, not the killing of kids in schools, but abortion. I don't think it's murder. I think it's health care. But we're willing to sort of run the gamut and be crazy over there, but we're not willing to sort of even raise the conversation over here. See, I this is where I'm just baffled by the foolishness that goes on in this country when we talk about the sickness of firearm ownership and who has access and rights to it. And we don't want to put in stopgaps for any of we don't care if you're mentally unstable. We don't care if you are abusive and violent, domestic violence. We don't care if we don't care if you've already said you were going to do this and been saying it and ringing the bell for it. We're not even going to be concerned about that. And if the FBI, what does the FBI do? Like, what are they charged with doing? What does the FBI do? What do they do? Somebody help me. What do they do? Federal Bureau of Investigations. What do they do? Help me understand. Because I don't get it. What does the FBI what are they tasked with doing? They don't got no problems trying to root out cells, terrorist cells. It's not terrorists. It's not foreign terrorists walking into our schools killing our kids. It's white people. Maybe one. I don't even. Maybe it was like one black kid that just done it, or one black person. I don't know. It's just crazy to me. Crazy. But yet, you never see this in black schools. You don't see this in urban neighborhoods. Inspired to people like MLK and Malcolm X. They're not. What do they need that level of? They need that. But what happens to the everyday people that who? So now I want to know. I want to look at all the lists of all the emails, all the stuff of all the people who are like, "I'm gonna kill this person. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." Do they just ignore that? I'm baffled. I don't understand what the FBI does. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not cynical. I'm so not a cynical person. I'm not cynical. I'm not. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to seek understanding how we could get here, and all you hear is thoughts and prayers. But we don't got no problems profiling Middle Eastern people as terrorists. We don't got no problems profiling Africans, particularly Haitians. We don't like any of these people, right? Mexicans, Latinos, people from South America. We don't got no problems with that. But everyday white people walking the streets, well, we're not nervous about that. And they're the ones that's creating all this drama. It's like, okay, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. I don't want, I wouldn't want to be this parent where, this is the early part, the first days of school, and that they got to figure out, you know, have a service and if they have other children, how they deal with this, you know. And I don't want to see anybody talking about this is fake news or any of that kind of. If Alex Jones shows up and starts that foolishness, somebody should just kick their ass. And I'm not a fan of violence, but a good ass kicking sometimes would merit a lot for people. Just FYI, bust them in the mouth. I know I'm not advocating now. See this kind of violence that I'm advocating right now. Why get me arrested? I don't have a firearm. I'm a felon. Felons can't carry firearms. It just bothers me a whole lot that we can't keep our own children safe in schools. Now you could say all bets are off in public spaces. We can't control public spaces, whatever. I mean, we can, but we like to sort of say stupid stuff like that. But schools we can control. And schools shouldn't be little prisons. And now children of that school are going to be afraid to go to school. The trauma is going to be great. And the teachers are going to be and I'm sure there's the school board meeting happening right now about putting in detectors and all this other kind of foolishness after the fact. You know, now we got to check lockers. Now we got to check book bags. Now you got to, you know what I mean? Like now you have to do all these things that you didn't want to do before. And you shouldn't have to do. But now this moment has changed everything forever. So now you've got to go militaristic, you know. You have to treat schools like a war zone, you know. Urban schools already know this. By urban schools, I mean like black ass schools already know this. They already been living under a police state in schools. Metal detectors, shakedowns, people standing there checking book. I mean, they already. And listen, I don't say that to say it shouldn't be done. I'm saying to say that urban schools have already been doing it with years and years and years before, white folks started walking into schools and killing white kids. And black kids wasn't even shooting in black schools. They were just doing shooting outside of schools. Now they was fighting in schools, yes, but nobody pulled guns and stuff. Nobody was shot. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of a black school getting shot up. I live in an urban neighborhood, in an urban city. I've never heard it. It doesn't mean it's not true. It just means I hadn't heard it. All these school shooters are in these suburban spaces. And I just say that to say, you know, they've already militarized public schools in urban centers, and suburban centers are starting to feel the pressure of that now. And I dare say, if they don't tear the school down, maybe it's not enough people killed, because that's what is required. You have to have a certain amount of people killed before they'll tear down the school, I would imagine. Because they might not tear it down for 4 people being killed. Maybe if it was 20 people being killed, they would tear it down. See the foolishness and the sickness of thinking about this. So anyway, so somebody will have to come and mop up all the blood and get all the body matter off chairs and stuff and whatever that looks like. And then, these kids will come in every day and they'll remember who was where and their teacher's not there and their classmate is not there. And then, the next few days there'll be services for the kids who were killed. And then the next few days the kids who were wounded will get back home, get out of the hospitals and all this other kind of stuff. And then they'll need some therapy wrapped around them forever and ever and ever, because the fear will be great. Because if you've been shot, that doesn't leave you. You don't just forget that you were shot, and there are probably some lasting repercussions to being shot, you know. And if you are an athlete, maybe you can't be an athlete anymore. Maybe you have to walk with a limp, or maybe they couldn't get all the bullet out, or maybe I don't know. I know there was a bunch of kids who were wounded and are in hospitals and are trying to recover. So I don't know what you do. I don't know if families move away and just say, you know what, this trauma was too great. I gotta go. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. It's a lot of decisions to be made. I would probably move away. I would say, all right, I gotta think about this a little differently, you know. And it's not running. I don't think it's running at all. I think it's a level of trauma. If you could get away from being faced with that, that might be a good thing. I don't know. Just we just we have a lot to contend with in this country, and we're not contending with it. And this is an election year, you know. And this is when you press people to sort of like, what about this? And I've already seen Vice President Harris speak on this. I already know where the Dems stand on this. Listen, I'm not I when the Second Amendment was written, the right to bear arms, you know, it wasn't automatic weapons. It was muskets. It was a different it was a different time. And the thing that kills me, and I'll make this point, when we talk about it was a different time, somehow or other, when it comes to the Constitution, people get all, oh, they can't, it doesn't matter. But when it's other things, they're happy to sort of acquiesce. So I'm just at a, I think I'm still on the question, how much more does it take? You know, how much more does it take? What's the number of schools? And now I gotta go and look and see what schools haven't had. Well, I could just look it up. I'll come when I come back. No, Enru was on it at 10:15. Um, and so we will call on the ancestors. Uh, but I can look this up. What states haven't had school shootings? Let's see what. Let's see. Oh, well, there's. Ooh, shoot. Okay. So I'm wrong. Every state. Oh, shoot. Okay, let me give you some numbers. I'm gonna leave you with some numbers. And this is for 2024. This 2024. California, okay. School shootings are distinctively American phenomena. I said that. It's a modern phenomena. Oh, there were school shootings in the 1840s. When a student shot and killed his professor, John Anthony Gardner Davis, the frequency and severity of school shootings have undoubtedly been rising. So there was a school shooting in 1840. The United States has recorded 2,331 school shootings since 1970. Nearly a fifth of these incidents occurred between 2020 and 2022, when school shootings were at their 20-year peak. In 2020, there were 96 school shootings recorded. In 2021, that number ballooned to 202. In the first half of 2023 alone, there have been 182 reports of gunfire on K through 12 campuses. The most deadly school shootings to date were the '07 Virginia Tech shooting, which I damn near almost forgot, where 33 university students and faculty members were killed, and the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting, which resulted in the death of 27 elementary students and staff. So, according to the Centers for Disease Control, guns are now the leading cause of death among children and adolescents in the United States, with intentional homicide being the second most common killer of teens aged 15 to 19. However, school shooting victims make up only a tiny fraction of these deaths. Okay. So research suggests that the primary factor contributing to the frequency of school shootings in the United States is the prevalence and availability of guns. The prevalence and availability of guns. The prevalence and availability of guns. That's what contributes greatly. Yikes. The United States has the highest gun ownership rate in the world. 390 guns owned by its 334 million residents. We got more guns than people. More guns than people. 390 million guns for 334 million people. You get a gun and you get a gun. You get a gun and you get a gun. Barriers to gun ownership are among the lowest in the world, with most states allowing individuals to purchase a firearm for any purpose and without question. In contrast, several countries require extensive licensing, proof of necessity, mental health checks, background checks, and other measures before allowing a citizen to own guns. Schools have been scrambling to respond to the increase in school shootings. Measures include a hodgepodge of increased security. That's always the case. Yeah, that's what I said, Harry. You had a musket. So you know how long it takes you to load a damn musket? So the response is going to be increase school security. They're going to teach them how to get on the desk and hide under active shooter. Like all that stuff is going to go on. Rather than deal with the prevalence and the accessibility to guns. We're going to train people how to, well, if somebody comes in with a gun, this is what you should do. So I'm with the critics. These just treat the symptoms instead of the problem and put out calls for more gun control measures. But the debate is contentious, like I said. So anyway, I won't even read to you what states, I just California 232, Texas 192, Florida 132, Illinois 122, Ohio 106, Pennsylvania 104, Michigan 96, New York 95, Georgia 83, North Carolina 81. Guns incidents at school. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that there. I'll come back to this like maybe tomorrow or something. Anru is up next at 10:15 so that we have a good conversation about ancestors and what's on our hearts and minds. So I will be right back.